Hey, comic lovers, EMoney, the old man, and Thor the Dog of Thunder here. Ready for some snaggage? There you go. There you go. You drew a little bit on Grandpa's pants, but that's okay. All right, so little update on Thor. We took a little trip out to Taylorsville Lake this past week. So this is our first time at that particular park. I didn't know how far away Taylorsville Lake was because I thought you get off on Gene Snyder's just a few miles down. It turns out it's more like 20 miles down. So, that was a bit more of a drive than I was expecting. So we get down to the park, and I was really hoping that this would be a chance for Thor to go swimming because he's never been swimming before, as far as I know. But turned out not to be the case because we took a trail called Lake View Trail. Like, okay, we're going to the lake. So we get there, take the trail, and yes, you can see the lake from the trail, but there's nowhere to really, get to the lake from a shore or beach or anything. It's just kind of, near the cliffs or whatever. So didn't get to go swimming. So sorry about that, buddy. For what we got out of that trip, we'll probably stick to the more local spots.
You don't always missing.
Yeah. All right. So maybe someday, buddy. All right. So what's going on the show today? Well. I have some exciting Doctor Who news. I have some news regarding the MCU's Disney Plus series. And then we are going to do our comic reviews, previews. Also, we are going to be, giving you a preview of what you can expect from next week's pop-up comic shop, or I should say this week's pop-up comic shop. And what do we have new going on? We had a really good week this past week, but we got plenty of more stuff to show you guys.
We're not going to run out of toys anytime soon.
Nope. And then later, I have a special challenge here with Thor.
Oh,
all right.
Good.
Yeah, that's going to be fun. All right. Just because Doctor Strange has been out for a week doesn't mean you need to go spoiling just yet. All right? Be cool. This is Back Issues. All right, comic lovers, so before we get started today, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, turn on notifications, give us a thumbs up, and if you like, leave us a comment. Let us know what you think of some of these reviews or some of the news I'm about to share with you. Also, we're looking to get 1,000 subscribers for our channel. We're a bit short right now.
Progress.
Yeah, so help us reach that goal. Don't forget to subscribe. All right, so what is going on in entertainment news? Well, I got a lot of news regarding the future of Doctor Who. All right, so first up, we learned last week who the 14th Doctor will be. A few months ago, the old man and I speculated on rumors that Hugh Grant was in talks to become the iconic Time Lord.
I mean, that's what they said in some articles. So
Yep. There were also rumors swirling that David Tennant would be returning as the new 14th Doctor.
That'd be amazing, but I just don't. That'd be wow.
That would have been a historic moment in the show's history, having a guy who had previously been the Doctor come back for the for a new number Doctor. But it turned out none of those rumors were true. They almost never are.
True.
Yeah. It was revealed by BBC bosses that the 14th Doctor will be sex education star Ncuti Gatwa.
Say what?
Ncuti Gatwa. I had to look up how I pronounce the name, but if I'm saying it wrong, then the internet's wrong because that's what they told me.
But you're pretty sure you got it right.
Ncuti Gatwa, yes.
All right.
So just as Jodie Whittaker was a historic first for Doctor Who, Ncuti Gatwa is another first for the show, him being the first Black Doctor Who. That is, if you don't count Joe Martin, who played a distant past version of the Doctor in a few episodes.
Who?
Joe Martin. You remember in Fugitive of the Jadoon when John Barrowman came back? And
I remember John Barrowman coming back.
Well, she was a doctor who was living in that small village in England.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. All right. So she was in a few episodes, and that's when the Doctor learned about her past that she had forgotten about. So if you don't count her, then Ncuti Gatwa is the first Black Doctor Who. All right. So what does this mean for the show?
I don't know. What does it mean?
Well, I mean, Russell T. Davies is returning as showrunner for Doctor Who. And, I think that Ncuti being the new Doctor, if he is traveling, into the past of Earth, he's not going to be able to move around as freely as he used to, right?
Taking to South Georgia in the 1950s.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how many of those issues they're going to tackle in the show.
I hope they tackle them all.
Yeah. I mean, he has had, black companions in the past who have had issue traveling around, but it's never been the doctor, him or herself.
Yeah, I want to see how he handles it.
Right.
I can't imagine him just ignoring it.
So, Russell, he has, plenty of, I feel like he has plenty of potential material for the future seasons with Ncuti.
Could be a slobber knocker.
Yep. So, Jodie Whittaker's final episode, and presumably Ncuti Gatwa's first appearance, is expected to air in autumn of this year. All right, so also in Doctor Who news, while 10th Doctor star David Tennant may not be returning as the 14th Doctor, that doesn't mean he's not returning.
Yeah, I mean, those old doctors, they tend to show up every now and then.
Yep. Well, the BBC has announced that David Tennant and Catherine Tate, who play his loyal companion Donna Noble, will be returning for the show's 60th anniversary special.
Of all his companions, that's probably the one I like the least.
Really?
Yeah, you knew that.
Well, I love the dynamic between him and Donna Noble because it wasn't a romantic thing where it was with his first two companions with David Tennant.
It wasn't romantic with Gilliam either. Gilliam.
No, well, I mean, it kind of was at first because she had a bit of a crush on him, and she even made a move on him in one episode. But then she realized that she wanted to be with she really loved Rory, and that they quickly erased that part. But yeah, I mean Rose was in love with him, and he eventually returned that love, sort of, kind of. Martha was in love with him, and he didn't feel the same way, so it was kind of a puppy dog love sort of thing with them. Donna never had any romantic interest in him. It was just a friendship. It was just two friends traveling through time and space together, having a good time. So I always like that dynamic about Donna Noble. All right, so in a statement from returning showrunner Russell T Davies, he says, "They're back, and it looks impossible. First, we announce a new doctor, and then an old doctor, along with the wonderful Donna. What on earth is happening? Maybe this is a missing story, or a parallel world, or a dream, or a trick, or a flashback. The only thing I can confirm is that it's going to be spectacular, as two of our greatest stars reunite for the battle of a lifetime." So Davies is returning to take charge of Doctor Who for its 60th anniversary special with Ncuti Gatwa as the new Doctor. Whittaker's send-off will begin in Legend of the Sea Devils, which airs on April 17th. I guess that's already out. So, and there are two more specials that are set to be released later this year, ending in the regeneration into Ncuti Gatwa. All right, so a lot of fun stuff happening in Doctor Who this year and next year.
What else you got?
All right, well, more news from the MCU's streaming series, She-Hulk, which has primetime Emmy winner Tatiana Maslany from Orphan Black starring in the lead role, is arguably one of Marvel Studios' most anticipated Disney Plus series, especially considering all of the MCU tie-ins that the show is rumored to contain.
Hey, all I know is she's one hell of an actress. Looking forward to it.
However, one insider has reported, "I've heard not good things behind the scenes," which is what might have led to the show being delayed earlier this year. Another report from former Hollywood Reporter editor Matthew Belloni says it's a mess. Quote, "a mess."
Man, I don't like hearing that.
So, and there's also rumors that they're playing up Bruce Banner's part in the show, but that he has a much smaller part than the trailers suggest that he has.
I mean, you don't have to have a big part. She-Hulk.
Yeah. I mean, I'm happy to see him, but I mean, I feel a little bit teased, but that's no surprise from trailers, especially Marvel trailers. I mean, they mislead you all the time. All right, so according to, there's not been an official release date yet, but according to Disney Plus's UK website, She-Hulk will premiere with a 10-episode freshman season on Wednesday, August 17th.
That's nice.
Yeah. All right, so that is it for entertainment news this week. Now, let's head back inside and grade those comic books. Or I should say, rate those comic books. All right, now, if you've never seen us do this before, we grade these comics on a 5-shield rating system. We give them both 2 scores, one for writing and story, the other one for artwork. Then we combine the 4 scores together and give it an average overall score. So first up is our mentions, and our first one is an example of why we don't always say honorable mentions.
All right, this is from Marvel, Moon Knight, Black, White, and Blood. Now, to be honest, we haven't liked any of the Black, White, and Blood titles. So, consistent.
All right, so this issue is a collection of 3 different stories, and the other one is the first one is like completely nonsensical, random crap type stuff.
Well,
And
there was a lot of panels that I've looked at several minutes and still couldn't tell what they were.
yeah, couldn't really make sense of it. So not great. That's why it got a lower score. Now, the second story is actually pretty good. There is
That's the one with Spider-Man, right?
It's got Spider-Man in it. So Spider-Man, he comes up to Moon Knight and he says, hey, what's going on? And he's like, go away. And he's like, hey man, what's going on? You doing Egyptian stuff? And Moon Knight's like, not everything I do is Egyptian stuff. And he's like, well, what if I helped make you less busy? Could you help me out then? And he's like, all right, fine, let's do this. So, they're following a transport truck, and Spider-Man asks him what's going on. And Moon Knight says they're transporting a crimson scarab to an unknown location. And we're going to intercept the delivery. And Spider-Man's like, and Moon Knight's like, what? Nothing at all. It's like, I can hear you grinning through that mask. What? And he's like, you said scarab, right? And he's like, yeah. So, Egyptian stuff, right? F you. So, that alone made it pretty fun for me. So, they, go through their little adventure together and have, Spider-Man at least has a few laughs along the way. The third story, I feel like the third story is just a lesson to an artist in minimalism. Just like the absolute least you have to do in order to tell a story through pictures is what's being done here.
Yeah, not a lot of detail work.
No. So Moon Knight, Black, White, and Blood ends up on our list with
3 shields after we rounded
3 shields rounded up out of 5. Like we said. Would have been a lot better if the whole story had been just the second story.
All right, next up from Marvel, and I just chose to go with the wraparound cover. It is Hulk versus Thor, Banner of War, Alpha. Now this book crosses over into, I think, Thor, so we should get the rest of the story.
All right, so if you've been reading the latest Thor series, what's happened is basically, did I say Thor?
Mm-hmm.
I meant Hulk.
Well, you tell them what's going on in Thor. In Thor, Odin, his father, passed,
Mm-hmm.
and his spirit seems to be dwelling in
Mjolnir. Well, in Hulk, basically what's happened is Hulk is being controlled like he's a Zord from Power Rangers because an entity or a soul of Bruce Banner is inside of Hulk, and he's controlling Hulk like he's a machine, like a Zord.
like a spaceship.
Yeah. So Hulk is being accused of killing some people in El Paso. Is that right?
It's like 12, 15 people in a bar in El Paso.
Right. So Thor goes to confront him, and Thor, confronting him like he's the old Hulk, and he's like, control your rage. I know you can hear me in there, Banner. And then Hulk grabs his head and he's like, Thor, shut up. I can hear you just fine. So the two of them start fighting, and they both have these voices inside their heads. For Thor, it's his father Odin inside of Mjolnir. With Thor, he hears the voice of...
with the Hulk.
With Hulk, he hears the voice of Betty Ross inside his head. So at one point during the fight, they both say to each other, shut up and leave me alone. And then they kind of look at each other like, who are you talking to? Who are you talking to? And they just kind of stare at each other for a second, and then Hulk's like, ah! And then Thor's like, ah, that's more like it. So the most of the issue is just, battle raging across different areas. And at one point, Thor does the thing that a lot of people say that, he should do in most of his fights, and he just drops his hammer on top of Hulk. Well, that
pinning him to the ground.
Yeah, that pins him down for a while, and Hulk comes up with a bit of a creative way to get out of that.
I think it's a ridiculous way, but okay.
All right, so Hulk versus Thor, Banner of War, Part 1, ends up with
3.5 shields, no rounding.
3.5 solid, no rounding.
Right. Next up, from Boom Studios, this book is called Grimm, but it's not related to the fantasy TV show we watched.
The TV show, I think, had an extra M at the end there.
It did.
All right, so this is actually, Grimm is in the more traditional sense, in the Grim Reaper. So it starts off, this guy wakes up, he's in the middle of the woods, and he walks a little bit, and he sees his car wrapped around a tree, and he's like, man, I don't know how much it's going to cost to get this fixed. It's probably totaled. Should have called it Uber. Man, I'm lucky to be alive. And then he hears this voice going, yeah, see, here's the thing. And he looks up to see this strange-looking woman holding a scythe, and she says, you're not. So she tries to explain to this newly dead soul that he's actually dead, and, there's your body in the snow right down there. You can see for yourself. And says, it's my job to guide you to the afterlife. And, typical, newly dead person, I'm sure, is like, no, I'm not dead. This is a mistake. I don't know what you're talking about. You've made a mistake.
You're dead.
Pretty much any newly dead story, you get that same routine. So it probably gets pretty old for the Reaper people when that happens, right?
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, so she guides him to the afterlife, and it may not be what you expect it to be. And then some unexpected chaos ensues from there. So this is a really interesting. It's an old concept, but I like their new spin on it, and I'm interested to see where they go with it. Hopefully, they can get past their initial cool concept. It reminds me a lot of the TV show Manifest, about the airplane that disappears for 5 years.
Oh, yeah.
And then it shows up again. They had a cool concept. They had a cool pilot episode, but then it just sort of dragged from there and went downhill. So we eventually stopped watching it. So hopefully, this comic can get past its initial concept and capitalize on it. So Grimm #1 ends up with
3.5.
3.5 shields out of 5. All right, now that is our mentions for this week. Now on to our top 3.
Alrighty. And surprise, surprise, we had a tie for second place. So we competed, as always, and I drug out a really old version of Monopoly. Now, I remember playing Monopoly with my dad and my sister when I was a kid. Rage issues back then. I remember flipping the board.
I think if anybody didn't have rage issues before, you play Monopoly and you end up having rage issues.
Well, so we played. One thing about Monopoly, you usually know way in advance who's going to win. And it wasn't me. I didn't have any rage issues. I just finally conceded. Instead of playing that extra hour that it would have taken for me to go bankrupt, I just said, all right, you win. So that kept me from flipping anything. But if you don't like the order that books 2 and 3 show up on this, blame EMoney. All right, so number 3, according to EMoney, a book that's been in our top 3 many times, from Image, Nocterra, number 10.
All right, so hopefully I don't have to explain the initial concept to you guys, but just in case I do, really quick, the world is plagued in darkness, and anyone who's exposed to the dark for too long turns into a creature, monster sort of thing, who is craving human flesh. So there's the long and the short of it. So our merry band of heroes, plus the reformed villain Blacktop Bill, head to this outpost where a bunch of baddies live, and they want to further envelop the world in chaos and darkness and make it even worse than it already is. So, Blacktop, the reason he's reformed is he ain't cool with that. And so they go up to infiltrate the facility, and things don't go exactly according to plan. And they meet up with some of Bill's old friends, and one guy who has a special grudge against Blacktop Bill for good reason. I mean, don't blame him. But once they get into a corner, they say, they gotta, go to Plan B, and the story is supposed to be concluded in the next issue, and it's gonna conclude with issue number 11, which is kind of a weird number to conclude a story with, but...
Well, if it's just a story arc, that's cool. Hopefully it's not the end of the series.
Right. All right, so Nocterra number 10 ends up with...
4 shields rounded up.
4 shields rounded up. Pretty solid artwork. Sometimes I talk about the story. I don't always talk about the artwork, but pretty solid artwork on here.
Well, this next book, if it had better artwork, it would be number 1.
Mm-hmm.
But artwork's only medium. This is also from Image. This is 8 Billion Genies. I'd have to say, because of the storyline, it's the most talked about book that we've read in a while.
Mm-hmm. All right, so if you can probably guess from the title, what happens here is, guys, these people are going throughout their average everyday life. This unknown small band is coming into this what's the word,
Honky tonk bar?
I was gonna say dive bar.
Okay.
Coming into a dive bar to set up for a gig, and everything is normal, and all of a sudden these tiny glowing blue creatures pop up, and they pop up to every person on Earth.
Everybody.
Yeah. And they say to everyone on Earth, "Hello, it is a great pleasure to meet you. Every person on Earth now has a genie." And they say, "I am yours. You will receive 1 wish, not 3, 1. You may wish for anything you like. Be careful when you make your wish, for your intention will be reflected in how it is fulfilled. Now, what can I do for you?" So, you can imagine what kind of chaos could ensue if one person had 3 wishes. Now imagine every person on Earth has a wish, and they can wish for literally anything. Well, the bartender of this bar, I guess he's the owner, he thinks fast. And he wishes, "I wish that no wish made outside this bar can affect the bar or anything or anyone inside it." So his genie says, "Done. Enjoy the show," and he disappears. So everyone else is a little bit confused here, and the first 8 minutes, the population goes from 8 billion to 7,999,000,000. So
1 million people gone in seconds.
yeah, in the first 8 minutes. All right, so you can imagine, what can happen here, but a lot of people wish for really stupid stuff. Like this one girl wishes for a guy to fall in love with her. Then you see this splash page. Somebody wished to be a giant. Somebody else wished for a pet T-Rex. And then another person asked for a mech suit, like in Avatar, only bigger. And just ridiculous things here. And I think that if I know everyone has a genie, right? I think I would have to keep my wish in my back pocket, because you don't know what's about to happen. Because, somebody wishes for world peace, right?
Somebody will.
Yeah, somebody wishes for world peace, like, okay. And then somebody wishes to, blow up a city. Well, does the most recent wish trump the previous wish?
The way he worded it, I would say yes.
He said, "Be careful when you make your wish," right?
So, for example, by putting your wish in your back pocket, if somebody wishes you to be dead and you haven't used your wish, too late.
Yeah.
You're dead. I'd stay in the bar.
Yeah, you different. Yeah, definitely stay in the bar. So, you got to really strategize, and you can't wish for money because with everyone having everyone's got to wish for money. So money's going to be useless pretty soon, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's definitely an interesting concept, and it's a mini series or a short series of 1 of 8. I don't know if you call that a mini series or not, but definitely an interesting concept. And we said before the artwork is okay. If it had been better, it definitely would have been number 1.
Oh, definitely, because the subject, once again, can they carry it and keep it interesting through all 8 issues?
I would think they can keep it interesting for 8 issues. If it were ongoing, that would be a little more difficult.
Right.
So 8 Billion Genies, number 1 out of 8, ends up at our number 2 spot with...
8 Genies has 4 shields rounded up.
4 shields out of 5.
Purely because artwork, I'm telling you.
Just artwork.
If I know we recommended Space Bastards a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this is our new Space Bastards.
Oh, it is? Okay.
In my opinion, this is the one everybody's going to be talking about at the water cooler.
Well, in that case...
Probably not, but if you have comic book buddies, then they're going to be talking about it.
All right, well, in that case, we need to get a hold of Soul and Brown and get an interview with these guys.
All right, well, let's give it a few issues.
Okay.
All right, next up, this is from Opus, a company I'm not that familiar with. But at any rate, I picked this one because Frank Frazetta is one of my all-time favorite fantasy artists. I just have always admired his work. In fact, one of my favorite paintings by him is The Death Dealer, right there on the cover.
All right, so, like him better than Larry Elmore?
I love Elmore, but Frazetta's stuff is much darker, so yes, I do.
All right, and this is actually the album cover of a Molly Hatchet album, right?
It is.
All right, so, Death Dealer, it follows a warrior, a barbarian type guy out in the woods.
The Death Dealer.
The Death Dealer. And he is hunting, and he meets up with a barbarian woman and her small baby who are being attacked by wolves. And he helps her out, and the two of them go to his home, hideout together, I guess. Cave. And, she stitches him up. Then you find out that he can't take his helmet off. The helmet stays on. And it looks like the helmet, you find out later that the helmet is cursed. And that there's some kind of entity living in the helmet who's talking to him while he, goes about his everyday routine life, whatever. But whenever he gets into a pinch, he asks the entity inside his helmet for help. And he says, "We are Death Dealer." And he ends up getting, I guess, super strength or toughness, something like that. It gives him more power. But every time he does it, it costs him a little bit more of his soul. So you can imagine he doesn't want to do that too often. So, story, pretty solid, good opening to a fantasy story. And the artwork is pretty great as well. It's a different artist than the cover, but still...
Sure, Frank's not around anymore.
Yeah, but still pretty great cover. Or, I'm sorry, pretty great artwork in the issue. So,
also, from what I've heard, some more of Frank Frazetta's characters are going to show up in coming issues.
Oh, good. All right, so Frank Frazetta's Death Dealer #1 ends up at our #1 spot with
4 shields, no rounding.
Okay, so quick question. So, do Frank Frazetta's characters, anything he came up with, does that appear in Dungeons and Dragons stories? Totally separate.
Not that I know of, no.
Okay, just curious. All right, so that is our recommendations for this week, or I should say last week's comics. Now, what comes out today?
All right. we are looking at a really light week. Lightest week I remember.
Oh, really?
From DC, we have Batman, Superman, World's Finest, number 3. It should be World's Finest, number 3, but that. Shadow Warzone, a new Crisis Infinity Gauntlet kind of major story. From Marvel, you have Savage Avengers, number 1. All I gotta say is Conan's in the Avengers.
Okay.
And Thor, number 25, which should continue the Thor Hulk fight.
Okay. All right, so fairly light week, or I should say pretty light week.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so there is our recommendations for this week's comics. Get them at your local comic book shop. Now, for a little preview of what you can expect at this week's pop-up comic shop. All right, so EMoney and the Old Man's pop-up comic book shop is this Saturday, May 21st. It's open from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. and we have all kinds of great stuff for you guys to purchase and check out. We have comic books. We have thousands of comic books. We have stuff starting at $1. We have like 2 boxes for 50 cents, but it's most of them are going to be $1, and they go up from there. A lot of great key issues, and then we have toys. We have so many toys for you guys. We have stuff that, you know, we told you guys before, we don't have enough room to display all of our toy inventory. So it's going to change every week. So if you've been to our store before and you've seen all of our toys, it's going to change this week. It's going to be almost completely different. We have a couple of vintage board games for you guys. We have horror movie icons, you know, mostly slasher 80s movies figures, a lot of them from Todd McFarlane. And then we have stuff from, if you've ever been to if you've ever collected 90s Toy Biz figures, mostly X-Men stuff, you know, that was a big part of my toy collection when I was a kid.
You got a lot of those.
Yeah, and we're going to have a lot of those available this week. So all kinds of stuff. So check us out. So we're going to give you guys also DVDs and Blu-rays, hundreds of those. All right, so we're going to give you guys just a little taste of what you can expect at our shop this weekend. All right, so as most comic collectors know, the first appearance of Harley Quinn in comic books was Batman Adventures number 12. Yeah, she first appeared in the Batman Adventures TV show, an episode called The Joker's Favor, but she quickly made her way into comic books. First in the Batman Adventures, and then in 1999 she showed up in mainstream comics with Batman Harley Quinn number 1. Well, we don't have the first appearance of Harley Quinn, unfortunately, but we do have the origin of Harley Quinn right here. This is Batman Adventures Mad Love, and this is the story of how Dr. Harleen Quinzel became the Joker's Girl Friday Harley Quinn. So that's a pretty cool thing to have for your collection there. Next up, we have a issue from Gold Key. We haven't pushed a lot of Gold Key stuff.
We have several Gold Key issues. We just don't push it a lot.
Right, but this one is pretty cool. It's a early Star Trek issue. This is actually Star Trek number 6 from Gold Key. It came out in 1969, so a good Silver Age comic. A little offbeat, you know, not Marvel or DC, but it's Star Trek.
Well,
so
it has a Leonard Nimoy photo cover. So
yeah,
that's kind of cool.
Yeah, and pretty good thing to have. All right, so we go from Star Trek to Star Wars. We have a graded CGC comic here, and we actually have about 15 or so CGC comics for you guys, so you know, come check those out. This is Star Wars Darth Vader number 3, and this is the first appearance of Dr. Aphra. And Dr. Aphra has not appeared on the shows just yet, but she could in the near future. I mean, she could appear, if she is connected to Darth Vader, then she could appear in Obi-Wan or the Ahsoka show.
If she shows up in anything, TV show, movie, whatever, this book is going to go up in price.
So good thing to have. And it's graded at a 9.8. So pretty cool. All right, so there is our comic teases for this week. Now let's go to our toy collection. All right, so first up, I told you guys before that we don't have a whole lot of wrestling figures. Well, here's one of the few. This is from All-Star Wrestlers Tag Team line. This is the Long Riders. And if you didn't know, the Long Riders were a pretty popular tag team in the 1980s. This is from 1985, and this action figure is actually from Rimco, and it's sponsored by the American Wrestling Association. So this actually even predates WCW. So that's if you're a vintage wrestling guy and want to check out Long Riders, then have that for you right there. Next up, we have all kinds of Marvel Legends figures for you guys.
Lots of them.
Lots of them. So just like we have a lot of toy-based figures, this one is one of the cooler ones, I think. This is Marvel Legends Green Goblet, and it's part of the Onslaught series, and it's a classic-looking Green Goblin here, and it comes with his glider, a trading card. It comes with the Onslaught piece that you can if you get them all, you can assemble Onslaught. It also has a comic book. It's a reprint of Amazing Spider-Man number 122, and that's the Green Goblin's Last Stand. So pretty cool package you're getting here. So Marvel Legends Green Goblin. Then speaking of Marvel Legends, I got a pretty big package right here for you. This is Marvel Legends Monsters, and this is a lot of the Universal monsters that you get in here. Kind of a weird thing for Marvel to put out, but pretty cool.
Well, they had the rights to use some of the Universal monsters in some capacity.
Mm-hmm. So you have the Werewolf, or the Werewolf by Night, because it's Marvel. You have the Dracula from the Tomb of Dracula series. Then you have the Zombie from Tales of the Zombie. And then you have the Frankenstein monster from Monsters Unleashed Frankenstein.
And those were all magazines that Marvel, magazine-sized comic books that Marvel put out.
Right. And then you have a special poster book included in here. All right, so like we said, we have a lot of different Marvel Legends stuff for you guys to check out. All right, so that is our preview for our pop-up comic book shop. Remember, it is this Saturday, May 21st, 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. And if you're worried about someone beating you to the punch, we have a firm rule about no early birds and no holds. So if you get there at 8 a.m., you're going to get first dibs on everything. All right.
Also remember, weather isn't a factor.
No.
As long as it's not too cold for this old man, which it probably won't be again until sometime in October. We'll be open every Saturday. It doesn't matter if it's raining. We're in a garage.
I mean, I suppose if there's a tornado, then we would be closing down.
No, hell no. We're going to be open.
Okay. All right. So be there 8 a.m. if you want to get the best deals. All right. So that is our pop-up comic shop preview. Now let's head back into the garage with a special challenge for Thor. All right, back up here in the garage with Thor. It is time for this week's Doggy Challenge video. So what are we going to do today? Well, we are going to test Thor's parental instincts, if he has any. And we're going to see how well he does with a delicate object.
What's the delicate object?
All right, we're gonna see here in just a second. All right, this is our Doggy Challenge video of the week. Okay, Thor. So I got this egg here. I want to give it to you, but I want you to take care of it. Okay? I want you to be very careful with it. Okay? All right? Because
he's going to chomp down on that egg so hard.
It's very delicate. Okay? All right. You be careful. All right. All right. Ready? You have no parental instincts whatsoever. You killed it. It's a good thing you're neutered.
Hey, it's still round.
You are not cut out to be a father. I'm sorry. That was harsh. But you did kill it. I'm sorry. so that was Thor's Doggy Challenge video of the week. Yeah, that was some surprising results, wasn't it, buddy? All right, so don't forget to come by our garage for this week's pop-up comic book shop this Saturday. It's going to be 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. It's May the 21st, and we're going to be open every Saturday for the foreseeable future during the warmer months. Usually we shut down sometime around October for the year. So, come by every Saturday and be watching our Marketplace and Craigslist ads. All right? And don't forget to check out all of Thor's videos on our channel. All right. I think that's about does it. Good boy. Good boy. All right. We'll see you guys on the next one. Excelsior.
True believers, let me ask you something. From the beginning of the video, you can tell this one is a huge Doctor Who fan. So, how many of you all are also, they're called Whovians? Let us know in the comments. I'm curious.